So, in any case, what you end up doing is you end up creating these sort of fictional groups. I've talked about this before. You have the political, first off, you have the political talk areas. You have, I like to use Air America Radio as an example because they're like new. I don't know how high profile they are, but I'm familiar with them. You're probably familiar with them too. So, I've said it before, it's a political talk radio station we have in America. But overall, oh, and also on the right, you have, I suppose Fox News tries to present itself as an actual journalistic medium, but at the same time, it does have like definite commentary sections, so I guess we could use that as an example. Then again, other stations also have kind of polarized commentary sections, so I guess we could use those too. Fox News, I think, stands out more as being, again, I hate this whole sort of left-right, liberal, conservative conceptization, because it really has no real-world bearing. But still, we could just use that for the sake of argument. In the end, what it ends up being about for the so-called left, it's not so much about what happens, it's about beating the right. And with the right, it becomes about beating the left. And then you have these different conflicts about each other. If you listen to, I've said Air America Radio, if you listen to just any sort of political type commentary, very often, maybe even most of the time, what you're going to hear is people talking about what's wrong with the other brand, the other brand that doesn't exist, the scapegoat that exists in order just to get the person who's listening to be drawn in and feel more loyalty, because when you have more loyalty, then you're able to sell things at the commercial more easily because these things are funded commercially. And it just becomes this giant back and forth conflict, and very dramatic, I'll give you that much. But even though it's so, well, not even though, because I mean, it's obvious that this would come in conflict with whatever, with actual politics. It's hard to say even that it does come into conflict with politics, because it's not politics in the first place. The problem is that it's almost creating a distraction. Because that's what it is, it's distraction. What it does is it gets in the way of politics. It creates an alternative to politics. Just as like crappy movies take away from and take attention away from good artistic films. I don't like to say artistic because that creates the idea of like an art film, an independent film, although I suppose really the only real artistic films are independent films. But at the same time, it takes away from the value of cinema as a medium, because that's what it is, and it does have value, just as writing has value. And also just as pop music takes away from the value of real music. Pop politics, pop culture, diminishes attention from actual culture. They associate with each other to make it sound like if you participate in this whole liberal conservative concept war fictional thing, that somehow you're having a bearing on the real world and somehow you're making some sort of difference. But it has nothing to do with that. I mean, yes, this also has something to do with the fact that in contemporary America, and maybe probably other parts of the world too, there is a definite just problem with politics in general that you have, because there is no sort of direct democracy, it's a representative democracy. There's so many levels of representation, and there's just so much bureaucracy in between that there's pretty much no connection between the people, the populace, and the government. So you end up creating this sort of estrangement that people can't deal with. But people don't even do anything about this because they feel more associated with politics. They feel like somehow they're a part of something because they hop on the brand wagon. That's right, the brand wagon. Oh crap, and I was trying not to cut, but still, a party is a brand. A politician, the candidate, is almost the product of the brand. And so what ends up happening is you just get this complete commercialization of the spectrum of everything. And it doesn't play out very well, and it just creates a problem for everyone, except the people who run the ads. They make lots of money, so I guess things are doing pretty well for them. Also, I've mentioned this before, there is actually two, but there's one documentary on Frontline, well, pbs.org, they have their Frontline show. They archive a lot of the documentaries on the website, and this one is archived. It's called The Persuaders. by Douglas Rushkoff. Well, it's not by Douglas Rushkoff. It's narrated by, and part of it's hosted by Douglas Rushkoff. And what it does is it looks at just marketing in general, but one very interesting part is it does look at the role that marketing plays in politics. It doesn't directly relate to this, but it is very interesting, so I advise you check it out. I'll post not only the link, but I'll tell you exactly which chapter it is, because it is a certain chapter of the documentary, and you could just link right to it. This has been going on for far too long, so I'm going to have to cut this into 2 parts, but still. So take a look at that if you're interested. If you're not interested, then, I don't know, well, you don't have to tell me, because I already know that someone out there is not going to be interested, so just don't look any further. Then again, if you're not interested, I don't know why you watched this far, so, okay, good day.